Everyone stand and welcome to the stage the founder and CEO of Traction on Demand, Greg Malpass.
Thanks, James. Wow. Thank you. I will only disappoint you. Let's just get that out of the way right now. It is such an honor to be here, and I wanted to thank everyone who's taken the time out of very busy schedules, very busy life. You've walked through rain, hail, torrential downpours. People have jumped on planes to be here. We have some incredible people to share this moment with. But I don't want my gratitude to all of you to be lost, because it's not just time, it's actually sharing your wisdom and sharing your knowledge. That's what this is about. That's why we're wearing shirts that say community. So in terms of composition of my presentation today, I wanted to be a bit bold. I wanted to set the stage for hopefully the conversations that'll be happening between you as we go through hopefully at the roundtables, and then beyond as we get into the happy hour, or maybe you stick your elbow in someone's rib and say, I really disagree with what Malpass just said. That's my goal. Now, don't disagree with me right away. Let it settle. Maybe there's some truth that you can find, and you'll find me and help me understand how I can adapt your thinking to my thinking. We can make something better. Along those lines, I think we talk a lot about change. And change is changing. It's crazy, right? We're seeing these cycles. Salesforce, there's a great keynote earlier in the nonprofit side, and looking at the age of the machine and how we've gotten into the networks, and now we're IoT and connected devices. But more important for everyone to pay attention to is the fact that it's actually changing faster. And the truth is, we're working longer, which means you're going to see more change throughout your lives. And to give you kind of some perspective, we used to see kind of one shift per work generation. Chances are the people in this room who are my age-ish will see maybe 7 or 8 fundamental shifts in your career. Those shifts will change the way you work. They'll cause you to blur lines between your personal lives and your business lives. They'll force you to rethink things that you believed to be true, and hopefully they'll help you propel forward and actually find a way to catch that wave and enjoy it, rather than to experience the stress and the holdbacks that change can present to us. And within that, let's talk about some of the things that are changing. I came from the advertising branding industry. Brand was all about volume. If people didn't believe you, you would turn it up. More frequency, more volume, more prolific, and you could convince people to believe you based on the magnitude of the message. That's not the case anymore. Brand is actually a product of the best experience anywhere is now the expected experience everywhere. Networks are so quick. We're getting feedback from our customers, from the people that touch our brands and our people so quickly that they're actually forming and defining us. There's countless examples that have been constructive, and it's very easy to count some great examples that have not been constructive. It's the organizations that ignore those feedback mechanisms that have the greatest challenges. What's the most important thing in retail? When I started, it was location. The second one was location. And can anyone help me with the third thing that was so important in retail? Right, location. Location is what's happening. Malls are dying. The ones that are actually innovating and changing, they're actually adding fixed structures where people live, and they're becoming marketplaces. People are going into stores. How many people in this room have been in a store, looked at a product, picked up your device, and ordered it through another vendor while being inside the store, looking at the product? Peacock, shame. It's true. Is it just price? Is it because it's cheaper? No, it might be that because you can return it more easily. Maybe you don't know if it'll fit. Maybe you don't have time. Maybe you don't want to walk through the mall and be carrying around this bag. Everything is changing. Networks are changing. Distribution is changing. Barriers to entry are disappearing. Customer first. Come on, everyone. Too easy of a target. What was the biggest mistake United Airlines made? Well, customer first is a bad strategy. We've seen this whole notion of the age of the customer. But if you treat your employees poorly, how are they going to treat your customers well? If you treat your team well, and it builds up from a point of authenticity, and your values are well grounded, what's the likelihood that they'll pass that on to your customer? Right? And if they pass it on to your customer, what's the likelihood that your customer will come back and maybe give you a little bit of buffer, give you a little bit of allowance? Maybe you can make a mistake. And let's say you do make a mistake. Just so happens, maybe you grab a passenger by the scruff of the neck, drag them out, break their arm along the way. You made a mistake. What should you do? Should you ignore it? Should you send an internal email to your team saying, you guys did the right thing, I got your backs? Or should you just say, we made a fundamental mistake, we are sorry, we want to make this right. You know what? Help us figure out how we could be a better United Airlines. Would you prefer to fly on an airline that has some humility and is open to the feedback that actually empowers you to change them? Or would you rather them tell you what they want you to think? More volume, more amplitude. Upgrades beat quality. Tesla continues to just prove so many things wrong. They shipped, their vehicles have improved every generation, every update Tesla has launched on their vehicles, starting from version 0 to 8.2, I think was the most recent release, those vehicles have improved. But there was also a point where they took something away. About a year ago, Tesla had this amazing feature where the vehicle would emergency brake for you. They thought it would reduce rear impact accidents by 40%. But that wasn't good enough. And in the next release, they quickly pulled that feature away from customers. A year later, they just re-released it. And Teslas with autopilot features now have this emergency braking process that they believe will reduce rear impact by 90%. The car is improving over time. How many people have smartphones and do updates? Your phones are improving in your pockets as you speak. It's passive. And what's really interesting is we will hopefully get to the point where we don't have to keep cycling through our devices because of software bloat, but maybe software will actually become lighter. And so the devices we have in our pockets, much like the jackets that Patagonia ships, could last a long time, and maybe we could actually improve them over time and not continue to have to throw them away or downgrade them, put them downstream. Good enough is the new great. Everything is faster. You're getting the general theme of this, but basically, any program that lasts beyond 1 year, the world's going to change. Your outcomes are going to change. And so what we're advocating for customers is, let's shorten this up. How can we deliver value as quickly as possible? How can you generate value as quickly as possible? Is that last 20% really worthwhile? Or are you guessing? Are we looking to just put a stake in the ground to say that we've actually achieved something, or are we actually outcome focused? Does everyone on this program, this effort, this project, do they understand what the outcome really is and what they're trying to achieve? Last year, we talked about every company becoming a technology company. And what did that mean? Well, we talked about this idea of introducing experiments into business. Call it fail fast. But what this is the ability for you to have a hypothesis, to borrow the methods within scientific experiments, say, look, we have a hypothesis. We think if we do this, we'll have an outcome. We think the outcome can be measured by that. Great. Let's try it. What's more valuable, a successful experiment or a failed experiment? Failed. Why? Because then you won't repeat it. Successful experiments, the likelihood of a successful experiment is probably 1 in 5 or less. I don't know what the number would be. We have a few scientists in the crowd that could correct me on this. But the truth is, more iterative, fast, tactile experiments will help us evolve our businesses, our organizations more rapidly so we can learn what to do more, the good things, and we can also avoid history's mistakes. And the more we document it, the more we syndicate that knowledge, the more faster forward we can go. We talked about data-driven decision-making. Does this mean that we are going to just simply look at a binary fact and number and decide yes, no, hire, fire? Or is this going to lead us to greater questions, more curiosity? That's what data should drive towards. We talked also about why the CIO is conflicted. CIOs are conflicted because they were brought in. Any CIO that's been in place for more than 5 or 6 years, they're being asked today to disassemble some of the systems that they poured their life's blood into. They sat in front of their CEOs and told them, this is the right thing to do. This is the right investment for us. This should allow us to cast the bobber, the fly, the thing as far out as we possibly can so we can reel in success in the long term. Now they're going up and saying, well, you know what? Things have changed a lot. You know that thing, that SAP implementation that we did, we're going to redo that. We don't know if that's the right thing anymore. And so we need to give them permission to help us move forward. We need to be open to a go-forward, fast-forward business and not blame them for the decisions they made in the past. And the simple truth about technology, on and off, all the time, traction, we're meeting with customers, and there's always at some point some trepidation. Oh my goodness, if I tell you what I do, you're just going to replace me with this amazing business process and this automated witchy-doo-woo. The truth is, technology creates jobs. Technology speeds up process. Technology gives one thing, it's just speed, right? Bad process, speed, bad results. Great process, speed, great results. And as you get more speed, you get more output, and as you have more output, you have more of a need for smart people to help you move to that next gate. And technology has proven time, now shifting us to a knowledge economy. And there's a great stat. In 1872, there were, in the United Kingdom, or Great Britain at the time, I guess you could call it, there were 9,400 some odd accountants. Today, there's 217,000. So we're seeing these massive shifts away from labor into knowledge-based economies. My interaction with Salesforce started about 12 years ago. And my first interaction with Salesforce was actually, I was pulled into a series of opportunities where customers were trying to get their sales and marketing teams to work better together. And as we looked into it, the reality was there's a lack of accountability between these teams. And so I started hunting for basic, very simple tools. And this company called Salesforce was very early stage. They had launched this one-size-fits-all CRM. It was simple, it was configurable, it was plug and play, and it was basically it was almost through shadow IT. So small departments within large organizations sneaking in a tool so they could perform better. Yeah, we have this big monolithic system for tracking this stuff, but my team really just needs to be more accountable and more agile and more quick. And so I taught myself how to use Salesforce. And over that period of time, the one thing I would truly credit this organization for is they continue to look hard at what they do, and they're open to rethinking it. And Peter Coffey, we're so lucky to have you here, Peter, to talk a little bit about that, but I won't talk much more because I don't want to spoil any surprises that you have in store for us. I've watched firsthand, though, over the course of the last year, a much more important evolution. It's no surprise that I'm going to get to the adaptive enterprise. But if every company becomes a technology company, and hopefully I've started convincing you that that is the case. Technology is in every organization here, no matter what. And technology does nothing more than speed things up. It just gives us speed. Technology doesn't make us smarter, wiser. It just speeds things up, gives us scale, right? Then we can assume that all companies are moving faster, or they better be, or they're likely to not be around for much longer. Everything, the cycles are all moving faster. Planning cycles within businesses can't be annual anymore. We need to look at it quarterly. We'll talk to Cody in a little while, and he'll talk about how rapid things are changing for his organization, the fastest growing company in Canada. But faster means more change. And change is really stressful. So how do we keep moving? How do we innovate? How do we embrace uncertainty? This year is all about the adaptive enterprise. The adaptive enterprise is a product of its environment. It's taking speed, history, talent, social, and all that agility together, just absorbing the product of its environment. It's an organization that has as much coming into it as it's progressing out. It's iterating. And decision-making is completely proliferated through every level within the business. People understand that they have an ability to pivot and help change that company, and they have a responsibility. The pillars are process first. Do you understand? Does everyone here that works in their day-to-day business understand your process end-to-end? Can you look at it in a linear fashion? Do you have visibility? Can you see internal and external data sources that help you understand how things are going, how things are working? Do you have a feed of information, and is it accurate? Do you trust it? Or have you established the panels or the channels of information to bring accurate information to your leadership, to your teams, to every person within the organization to understand where you're at? And do you have the analytical access, which is really more about having a common method of exploring data in a common manner? Do you have a language of understanding? At Traction, it's called E3. It's called Enjoyable Workplace, Ecstatic Customers, Efficient in the Efforts that we do. Do you say what you do? Do you have the channels for your communication? And that is going to be a technology consideration as well as final, which is a culture. The culture that will embrace change. Now, when we talk about culture, let's just swap it out for the word trust. Do people trust you? Do you have trust within your organization, and have you earned people's trust? Are you operating from a place of authenticity, or is there something incongruent? Because people understand that. They're asking hard questions nowadays. So why should you care? Well, barriers to entry they don't matter anymore. You know, if I wanted to get into, CNC manufacturing, it wouldn't take me very long to find an outsourced partner to help me with that. If I wanted to build something, if I wanted to develop some technology, it wouldn't be very hard for me to find a team to help me with this. And what we're seeing now is even bricks and mortar businesses are embracing technology and finding net new businesses altogether in the technology category, and now selling that and generating nexus. These are the companies, are we scared? Who here? Uber is always famed as this incredible disruptor. Uber is disrupting everything. Uber has the worst loyalty amongst their drivers and employees of almost any company that's been established. They are a fully transactional model. How likely is it that Uber could be disrupted? What is the equity of Uber? It's just a price-driven organization. So what should I change? Am I advocating that we should just drive this incredible pivot, follow any opportunity, let's just chase that golden sunshine into the far reaches of the moon? Absolutely not. I think it's important that we understand a protocol for how we instigate change. And the real question is, have you saturated different segments and categories? Are you offering, you first want to offer, of course, while they're still on opportunity, the same product to the same customers. Then you'll get into this notion of offering the same product to different customers, finding new markets, new geographies, maybe different segments. Then you'll start looking at offering different products into the same customers, and then maybe at the far reaches, different. Traction has executed an experiment in every one of these quadrants. We're a professional services company, yet our first initiative was to actually build a software company, Traction Guest, and sell a completely different product to a completely different category. We knew exactly what our over-order of magnitude would be, but it was just to see, can we do this? We had the feedback, and now we're following through with it. We're learning. We're bringing that elsewhere. So where do I begin? Beyond experimenting with product companies, different technologies, it all actually starts with this. And a year ago, I revealed that we were going through this initiative of launching what we call Traction Pulse. Every person at Traction records their time and tells us how it was. I have 47 seconds, so I'm just about right on time. So when they tell us two things. One, how was it? It was amazing. It was pretty good, mildly painful, or it was brutal. What zone of thought were you in when you executed the task? I was executing, admin, syndicating, or learning. Add those two, bring that data together, collect 400,000 rows of data, throw it into Wave Analytics, and guess what you get? You get a daily happiness index. Guess what else you get? Incredible insight in terms of what people love, and of course we know what they were good at and what they were efficient at. So what do you do with that data? Well, you ask questions. You experiment with it. And before rolling Pulse out to the entire company, which we just did last week, you very carefully weave the trust with the team so they understand we're not going to pose judgments or try to inflict change on them. We want to put this data in their hands so they can guide us to where they will be successful. We want them to be accountable. So how will I continue to keep Traction relevant? Well, I actually don't have to worry about it. I have 311 people that were worrying about it for me. The adaptive enterprise in the traction world is a company where everybody has an accountability for themselves and an understanding of themselves, and we can start following suit. And we even have our own little Dragon's Den venture program now launching, which hopefully I'll be talking about next year.